This is VK6ARN, Newswest. We are a community organisation and we've been serving up the best amateur radio news in Australia since 1931. Hi there, I'm Clinton, VK6FCRC, and welcome to Newswest. Now on with the show.
Ho, ho, Santa is on the air. Join the VK6 Santa Amateur Radio Net. Dear friends, season's greetings from the North Pole. I'm thrilled to announce a very special holiday treat for all radio enthusiasts and their families. This year, Santa Claus has been granted an official Australian call sign, VK6 Santa. To celebrate, I will be operating an amateur radio net each day, giving children and the young at heart a chance to talk directly with me over the airwaves. Whether you'd like to share your Christmas wishes, ask about life at the North Pole, or just chat with Santa, I love to hear from you. The net will be operated daily from the 1st to the 24th of December with the below schedule of frequencies and times: AWST, UTC +8. 2 meters, 146.550 megahertz, QRM, Saturdays and Sundays, 16 o'clock to 16:30, 10 meters, CES 28.916 megahertz, QRM, SAF, Monday through Friday, 18 o'clock to 18:30 AM, Saturday and Sunday, 17 o'clock to 17:30. 20 meters, 14.316 megahertz, QRM, Monday through Friday, 18:45 to 19:15, Saturday and Sunday, 17:45 to 18:15, 40 meters, 7.216 megahertz, QRM, Monday through Friday, 19:30, 20:00, Saturday and Sunday, 18:30, 19:00. It's a magical time of year, and I can't wait to connect with you on the air. Spread the word, warm up your rigs, and let's make the inaugural VK6 Santa Net to remember. 73, and Merry Christmas. St. Nicholas, VK6 Santa North Pole Amateur Radio Club.
You may notice that Newswest has been light on for content lately, and I've been playing a lot of repeat stories, but you can help us to change that by sending your stories or contributions through to newswest at vk6.net.
Foundations of Amateur Radio. In the process of developing something from scratch, there are a great number of things that need doing. When you start, it's unclear what's the most important thing, but experience has told me that starting anywhere is the best way to get runs on the board. Here's a smattering of what I'm talking about. What do we call this thing? How will we license it? What does it do? How will we determine what is required and what is nice to have? How will we avoid reinventing the wheel? And how will we make sure that it's something that people want rather than yet another solution looking for a problem? I started by looking at what else is going on. Specifically, the software-defined radio or SDR world isn't something that arrived yesterday. There's lots of stuff around and plenty of it is open source, so we can look inside and learn. I asked around to see if there was a table that compares how the various SDR tools talk to the world, or rather, what protocol they use. Think about how you'd get the data from a radio to a computer, and how you'd control the radio and the data flow. Now imagine that neither are in the same room, or even in the same country. I started writing down what I think is needed, and then realized that this replicates stuff that has already been done. Tools like RTL SDR, SOPI, OpenHP SDR, and SPI Server already do some or all of this. There are others. Thus the request for the table. This resulted in no table, but plenty of questions, including a discussion about protocols versus drivers, which led me to the realization that I'm going to be doing a lot of yak shaving before this project has anything to show for itself. This neatly prompted the idea that by the time I was done, the yak was going to be well and truly shaved, and now the project has a name: Bold Yak. At some point it appears that there was a coffee shop in 2012 with that name, and there was an engineering student using it in 2004, so no major conflicts I can see, but feel free to point out any I missed. Bold Yak works as a name, 2 words, no hyphen, because it says nothing about what the project is about, which is what you do when you cannot think of a suitable relevant name, and you'd have to admit it rolls off the tongue better than Amateur Radio GNU Radio Project or ARGRP. Another consideration is how to license this thing, whatever it is. As you might know, I'm a firm believer, advocate, user and contributor to something called open source software. It essentially says that if you distribute the software, you are required to share the source code. Lofty goal, but the outcome is not particularly equitable. Bruce Pierens, Kilo 6 Bravo Papa, is the creator of the open source definition, derived from the Debian Free Software Guidelines, where he was the primary author in 1997. In other words, Bruce has embodied these concepts for almost half my life. Bruce says this about open source today, quote, "Open source is the infrastructure of business, but the economic structure of open source is one of resource extraction, like logging or mining. Many businesses extract wealth from open source but do not return significant value to the developers." End quote. Bruce is in the process of developing something called Post-Open that attempts to address this inequity. Full disclaimer, I've been commenting on some of what Bruce is doing, and he has graciously accepted most of my suggestions. I'm not yet a convert, but I think that what Bruce is attempting is crucial for the future of sustainability of the open source community. Which brings me back to licensing. How do we license Bold Yak, and how do we strike a balance between eating food and allowing others to play with our toys? If you have suggestions, please let me know. For now, I'm storing my stuff locally, but fully plan to show and tell once I've figured out how. So, what is Bold Yak? Here's what I have so far. Quote, "The Bold Yak project aims to create a modular, bidirectional and distributed signal processing and control system that leverages GNU radio." End quote. I hasten to add that this is a work in progress. I'd like the definition to be small and specific. If it can be improved, please feel free to make your pitch. My email address is cq@vk6flab.com. I'll also point out that this is slow, deliberately so. I want this to be fun, but I also want this to be real. I also need to manage my own life, family, health, finances, and humour. So be gentle. I'm Ono, Victor Kilo 6, Foxtrot Lima, Alpha Bravo.
This is Newswest, your amateur radio news on VK6ARN, originating on the Newswest linked repeater network and HF relays.
On Tuesday afternoons and evenings, the 40 and 80 metre bands come alive with the sound of slow CW. Who would have thought that this ancient art, which some say was once such a dreaded part of the amateur licence test, would become so popular in these days of modern communications? The uncontrolled net is run in designated portions of the 2 bands to encourage new CW operators to have a go at slow CW in a safe and really friendly environment. Slow speed and lots of mistakes are par for the course. It's all about having a go, starting with a basic call sign and RST exchange, then over time getting better and better. The net also attracts its fair share of old-timers who enjoy helping others to have a go or to just enjoy the banter. The CQ-QRS net started in Western Australia 3 years ago and has been running every single Tuesday and has been unbelievably popular. The net runs from 3 p.m. until about 7 p.m. on 40 metres, then moves to 80 metres, and we've had up to 60 stations on air having a go. And who knows how many listeners are out there every Tuesday as well. So the CQ QRS net is on 40 metres between 0700 Zulu and 1100 Zulu, that is 3 p.m. until 7 p.m, and is held between 7020 and 7040 kilohertz. Then between 0900 Zulu and 1300 Zulu, which is 5 p.m. until 9 p.m, we're on between 3540 and 3570 kilohertz every Tuesday. There's no net control, so when you're ready to have a go, just find a quiet spot and start calling CQ-QRS at about 75% of the speed you can copy. Most stations will match your speed, so go slow until you're really comfortable with CW. So this might be just the opportunity you've been waiting for to have a go at transmitting on CW, or perhaps just to stop the contacts rusting up on your key. Doesn't matter whether you're brand new to the code, or if you're an old-timer who would like to have a bit of fun and help encourage new operators by having simple, safe QSOs at their speed. We'd love to have you join in. Too much switch mode power supply hash on 80 metres? This might be the incentive to do something about it. With a cheap noise canceller costing less than $100, 80 metres could be easier than you think. So again, the net starts at 3 p.m. every Tuesday above the DX segment on 40 metres between 7020 and 7040. Then, after 7 p.m, moves to 80 metres between 3540 and 3570 kilohertz. There are usually stations in the west, east and in between listening out for your CQ-QRS call. For more information and to receive our free weekly CQ-QRS RagTune newsletter, contact me, Mark, VK6QI, via the email on qrz.com, or you can use our address cqqrsnet@gmail.com. That is cqqrsnet@gmail.com, and I'll be pleased to have a chat.
Hello, this is Kevin, VK6KQ, on behalf of the Wireless Institute Civil Emergency Network of WA. We'd like to invite you to the WISEN meeting next Monday evening, the 9th of December. It'll be held at the Bellevue Mechanics Institute Hall, located at number 10 Helen Street, Bellevue. Doors will open at 1900 for a 19:30 start. That's 7 for 7:30 p.m. Everyone is welcome. Tea, coffee and biscuits will be available. We hope to see you there. Thanks for listening.
Hi, just a little note about VK6RRG and the WARG Technical and General Net. Having it run every Sunday morning on VK6RLM, that's 146.750, or Channel 3 in the old money. And it starts at 10:30 a.m. this morning. Of course, if you're listening in the evening, it's next week.
Good morning, I am Roy, VK6X-Ray Victor, with this week's hotline. For the 8th of December. Still have in my possession, on behalf of David McSweeney, 6084 in the Austravel network. We have a Fox Tango 2800 mic FM 2 metre 65 watt transceiver, $150. There's a Kenwood Tango Sierra 660 HF and 6 metre SSB transceiver, $200. There's a Power Supply Homebrew 13.8 volt 20 amps, $30. There's a Mirage 2 metre amplifier, 35 watts out, $50. There's a Palomar Tango X-Ray 225 Hotel Delta amplifier for 2 metres, $50. There's an ATU Homebrew, $50. There's a Yaesu Fox Tango 209 Romeo Hotel 2 metre transceiver and manual, $20. There's also low pass filters, 0 to 30 megahertz, $10 each. If you would like any of those items or further details, please give me a call. My phone number is 0427 000 995, 0427 000 995, or VK6X-Ray Victor at bigpond.com, VK6X-Ray Victor at bigpond.com, and that also an email address for next week. If you have any items for next week's broadcast, please contact me. I'll say that again, VK6X-Ray Victor at bigpond.com. 7-3 until we meet again. Cheers.
Hi there, It's Clinton, VK6FCRC, back with you. And did you know that Newswest is now on YouTube? Type in youtube.com/@Newswest weekly podcast Kilo Zulu 7 Yankee Charlie. Oh, and before I go, I'd like to thank those watching on YouTube or ATV, the readers, and you for listening. I'd also like to thank our team, the broadcasters, and those submitting content each week. Please stand by now for callbacks after the broadcast, or head over to the VK6.net website and fill out the forms so we know how many people are listening each week.